Hello, I'm Panos Kotzathanasis, and this is Asian Movie Pulse Interviews. Today I am here with Suman Ghosh and Shardul, whose film Scavenger of Dreams recently screened at Busan International Film Festival. How are you guys?
Very good, thank you. Thank you, Panos.
Okay. Since I mentioned Busan, how was the reception of the audience there? How did they react to the movie?
It was quite good in the sense that, see, the only way one can understand the reaction is at the screening and the question answer session. So I think it was, very detailed and engaging question answer session we had. And audience didn't leave the theater. So, conjoining both of them, I would say it was a very pleasing experience. Yeah.
Okay. And tell me a bit, why did you decide to shoot a movie focusing on the particular profession and this type of life?
Well, though it pertains to the waste collector's life, but I think this is more generic in the sense that, in a larger perspective, I believe that given we live in a modernized world or a globalized world, whatever you might call, um, I think issues of social justice, inequality, these are largely put aside, and we are in this rush of GDP and growth rates and everything. So this is a larger concern I have as a human being, I would say, in this current thing. But also, I don't believe that one should stop the process which is going. It is inevitable. But what we can do is through policies, training, tooling, and there are hordes of policy measures one can take, where one can think of at least being aware and thinking of addressing these issues which I mentioned. So this was the larger perspective, but the more direct perspective on or why I did this film was when I had read an article in the New York Times maybe 5-6 years back about a waste collector in Silicon Valley who collects waste from billionaires' homes. And he collects those wastes, and he doesn't sell, revels in that and thinks about what an iPad Pro or whatever it's called can do, which is a waste which he has collected, or some fancy objects. And he dreams about the lives of the rich people through the waste. So that article actually struck a chord in me, and I let it germinate within me for a couple of years. And slowly, I also realized that that would be a nice way to communicate the general idea which I just now told you through the life of a waste collector. So that is how it happened. Yeah.
And so, Shardul, why did you choose to pick this role? What did you like about the character?
The first reason was this gentleman, Suman, and the cinematographer of the film, Ravi Kiran. We go back to the film school that we studied at, although he's much senior to me. That's the most obvious reason. But I think I don't know. I think I've been fortunate enough to have gotten work, which, as someone was mentioning, about a section of the society that in the march of progress we have sort of forgotten and very conveniently overlook. And something that you would be aware of in Greece, that we are very aware of in India, which is the gig economy, the hire and fire kind of system of things. So those are also my interests.
And in general, how do you pick the roles you play?
First and foremost is who's making it. I don't pick scripts, I pick people.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And Suman, how close to reality would you say what we are seeing in the movies?
It is extremely close to reality, because I must admit that most of the or the entire screenplay, if you would say, developed from my research, like almost 3 years of research, interacting with them, and the problems that I highlight. Honestly, I didn't know about their world at all, and I'm blaming myself and many others of turning a blind eye also. So my first responsibility was to know them, and since you have seen the film, most of the issues are I picked it up from, for example, where Shardul's or Biju, our main characters, he from a broken bottle, his hand gets cut. So this is a problem which they told me, that a lot of the people throw beer bottles and all which are broken, which they shouldn't, by law, but they do that, and they are quite you know um, oblivious to the fact that what might be the consequences of that. Similarly, the phone thing, where because of the pandemic, they couldn't admit their daughter Munni to school, and hence when the wife gets the phone, Biju gets upset about. So these are just two examples I mentioned, but most of all of what is there in the film is from reality, which I then inducted in the screenplay.
And as far as I understand, the majority of the cast are actually garbage picker. Is that correct?
Correct. Like the garbage pickers are garbage pickers, but the others also in the office, or the supervisor you saw, they are non-professional actors. They are members of my crew, and I thought that they are a correct match, and that's how. But it was important that I selected people who have never faced a camera before, in the sense that I didn't want to be aware of the fact that they are being shot, and you know. So that honesty I wanted, and hence it is, except Shardul and Sudipta Chakravarti, all are non-professional actors. Yeah.
And how was it shooting with non-professional actors? Is it more difficult, more easy for you?
No, I think a lot depends on the pre-production, because and we didn't have a script to begin with, because of course you cannot ask them to deliver dialogues from a script, which a professional actor can. So that was very important, but the onus was then on our professional actors, Shardul and Sudipta, that they had to steer the story in the direction of what I wanted in the larger story. But I think it was uh, at the pre-production level, what I did was I tried to get their backstories of their life, their issues, and subtly induct it in the screenplay. For example, I can tell you about the lady who is the Zomato or the food delivery lady, remember, with the cap and all.
Yeah.
So this backstory which she says is really her backstory. She was ousted from her village because of caste issues. Her husband used to hit her, and her father told her that be independent, do something. So she came away, broke her marriage, came away, and started this. She learned how to drive a moped, which Shardul couldn't in the film. She learned, and so I knew about Asha, is the name of that lady. I knew her very well. She, so that is how and so when Asha is telling her story to the group of other people in the slum, it is very, very genuine. So there's no adulteration in the story. It is not my story. What I did was, so like that, with Sanjay, the other waste collector, or the other Nirmal, another waste collector. So I found out their stories and enmeshed it in the screenplay. So that's how it looks. Very, very organic and authentic, I would say. So that was the process which I did in arranging the story. Yeah.
And Shardul, how was your cooperation with Sudipta, and how with the rest of the cast?
Of course, Sudipta is a much senior actor and a very renowned actor in Bengal, West Bengal. But I think the sign of a very good actor is that they don't tell you that they're a senior actor when they're working with you. So that kind of grace is the first thing that and I think Sudipta and Suman have collaborated on more than 4 feature films by now. So
This
they
was our
already
fourth film together. Yeah.
fourth
Yeah.
film, yeah. So they already have a working relationship. But then that's the thing, right? Like, to answer this question, I'll have to tell you how we were going about this.
Please.
We It was me, Suman, Sudeepta, Monica, production designer, Ravi, our cinematographer, Dipankar, our EP, and Suman's direction team, where there was another Suman, and Ankan, and all these people. We would all go together to the dump yard to basically we would be going to the municipal offices, dump yards, the slums, the housing quarters, everything together initially for a long time, because we wanted to understand the film together. So it wasn't a compartmentalized process, and I got a lot of help from each one of them, because in fact everyone was doing my work. So and then there was constant discussion. Every evening would be constant discussion that what do we do. Even in fact, the film looks very documentary like, but there are a lot of things which are very conscious decisions, like for example the choice of the hand cart, and which hand cart is it, because there are 3-4 kinds. So there are 2-3 kinds of job appointments that happen in garbage collection. So which one are we looking at? And it's a strange maze. And when you're trying to sort of undo this jigsaw puzzle, is how the role starts to emerge for you. But Sanjay, I have to mention, and the garbage collectors at the dump yard, I have to mention, they were the I don't know, more than graceful to admit me into their lives. And I would, for whatever time period I could, I would go with them to collect garbage. Now, there are strange sights and things that one would see. As so I come from India's middle class, upper middle class. That's how I grew up. So one thinks via books and via cinema, one has been made aware of certain things. But when you actually see it, when you actually go through with it, I think that does something to you. For example, I'll just give you one example and I'll finish it. So we recently had the FIFA World Cup, but I called Sanjay the best football player, because he like Messi, like he had a Messi like skill to his leg. So when we would go collecting garbage, he would teach me how to use my leg, my foot actually, to get the used condom, period pad, human feces into the bin without using my hand, you know and he would do it with a complete smile, and in that moment I would also somehow forget that, oh, I am touching a used condom, right? So that kind of learning is something that one could only get via the ground. So yeah.
Okay. And tell me a bit. I feel like this is for Suman, the question. I feel the film is all about inequality. Like you see, there's people collecting the garbage from the people that actually throw them. What is your opinion of this kind of two lives, let's say?
No, I don't make any normative statement about these two lives. This is inevitable. This is reality. So there's no. I have nothing against the rich people or the poor people or anything like that. I'm just portraying a society which is not only in India but all over the world. Which is true now. Only thing which I wanted to highlight was the fact that the rising inequality, which all over the world, it has political repercussions also. I believe that, for example, the rise of someone like Donald Trump in the US had to do a lot with the Rust Belt, which is called, or the labor working class, which felt left out of this. Last 2 years, last 20 years of development which has happened, and that gives rise to their resentment, gave rise to the ultra right in the US, and not only in the US, all over the world, in Brazil, in Europe, and I always think, because I'm an academician also, that this process which is happening all over the world. Now you will see in our film, I almost have no sympathy for my main character Birju, in the sense that the way he walks and talks, there is a certain arrogance. He's, he shouts at his wife and whatever, but that is human, right? That is normal. And I would give a lot of credit to Shardul also, because when we are talking about the role, I told him that I don't want any sympathy for my main character. I want empathy for their cause. That is different. And he suggested certain things where you eliminate the sympathy, and make it more, and hence make it more real also. But my main point of the film was to show that if you just leave them behind without what with Shardul's character. So someone is having adapting to modern technology. In this case, the the bicycle or moped which he needed to know was a larger metaphor of if someone is not able to adapt to modern technology, then what do we do about them? Do we just leave them aside and let them fend for themselves, or there is a larger responsibility of we as a society? By society I mean government also, where we take steps to train them, tool them, and then give them an equal opportunity to survive in this modern economy. So that was my general goal, and not to stress on the fact that rich people or poor people. You see, I have rich people in this film also who gave the horse cart to Shardul and Shudipta, engaged in a conversation about what they are doing with their daughter's education and stuff. So not that all of them were shouting at them. So yeah.
And in this whole realistic setting that is the film, you have also decided to include some dream sequences. Can you tell me a bit about them? Why you decided, let's say?
Because see, it is after all about the next generation. What will happen to Munni? Shardul and Chudipta's life, or Biju and Shona's life, is predetermined, and of course it depends on whether they will survive this hurdle of getting to ride the motorbike or whatever he needs to survive. But every parent, me or whoever, has dreams for a better next generation. And to be honest, I am skeptical of the way the current scenario is. So I can only take the resort of surrealism. It was a surrealist scene where the birthday party happens. And, I don't want to make it too academic or whatever. The birth of surrealism also happened like that. If you go back to, Andre Gide, and, when surrealism started, they had such underpinnings. And so surrealism is a resort. It is a statement also, the language of cinema which I use in order to show the so-called vacuous dreams of these people. Yeah, so that's why I used that type of treatment in those scenes. Yeah.
And Shardul, your character transforms as his rage gets the better of him as the movie progresses. Can you tell me a bit how you approach this transformation from being relatively calm to completely enraged?
We were taking, all of us were taking a lot from what we were seeing at that point in time. So if you remember Sanjay, he's the guy who talks about his elder brother dying. And as Suman was saying, we were doing a lot of scenes as they were coming. So in that moment on camera, I got to know and that his elder brother had just died yesterday. That's the first time he broke down in front of me in all the time that I'd spent with him. So Suman was talking about the surreal nature of the dreams. It is almost the reality that you encounter is almost surreal. But one thing that I noticed there in Sanjay was that he was an angry man. He wasn't taking any of what is given to him lying down. He knew exactly where and how the system is rigged. So he or others at the dump yard weren't waiting for anybody's dole or anybody's sympathy or anybody's charity. They knew how to live life, but they lived life with their heads held high. And I'm not trying to be cheesy here, but I've not seen that kind of dignity in a lot of in a group of people ever, with that kind of head being held high, with constant addiction, money problems, no health insurance, no nothing, no kinds of guarantees, no holidays, nothing. The way they lived is, I think, is something that I learned from. But there was always this seething anger. There was an underbelly of anger. At times, Sanjay would look towards the houses we would go and pick the garbage from, and he would say, "These people want us to carry their sacks of sugar, but would never let us would never let us taste it." So that transformation, I don't know. I mean, and it can be looked at as transformation from the outside while watching it. For me, I don't know that it was a gradual shift to where Birju goes and where he's cornered to.
Yes, yes, I get what you mean.
And the anger, last thing, the anger also comes from because uh, all these people had empathy for each other in one degree or the other. So if someone would get that scene also where Birju loses his calm and is abusing the supervisor, that actually happened. We knew of that happening, so we'd taken that scene from reality. Yeah.
Okay, okay. But what would happen in reality in the protagonist after doing what he did? Now he's like, it feels like this garbage picking job is like a last resort, but now he loses even that. So what would happen with him afterwards, let's say, if the movie continued?
Um, if you see the last shot of our film, with the shot of in the larger dump yard, this is actually a very strange place in Calcutta. I think every big city has that. In Bombay also, I know that there's a place like that where ultimately all the trash goes and is deposited there. Now, if you see that shot, they are in the bottom rung of even that heap of trash. So that was my statement where I put them, that this is where they land up to. But I hope that probably they will survive. Human beings have a strange ability to survive even the worst of scenarios. I hope that they will be so they have been pushed to that area. We have pushed them to that bottom of that, even the mountain of garbage. But I'm sure that they will adjust and try, and they will climb up. I'm a very uh, I wouldn't say an optimist, but I like to believe that I am an optimist. So that is how I see. I don't know what will happen to them, but that is how I envision their future. Yeah.
And there is also an erotic scene in the film, which for me it's always strange that people even under these circumstances like want to have sex, and even children, considering that they barely make a living. So why did you decide to include that in the film?
So that is a basic necessity, and you will see that even what we portray in the film, they have moments of fun. For example, in the sequence where Shardul is talking, they are drinking and having fun, and they have told me that there is a that space is the place. And I think there's a dialogue in the film also. They forget what their existence is, and they have a couple of hours of pure unadulterated fun, joy, or whatever you would call it. So, and the erotic scene also, or the where they make love, this is basic human wants, and that goes on. Though you would have noticed that it goes on underneath the bed, where their daughter was sleeping. So even there, they we pan the camera toward the bottom and underneath the bed, because there's no space, and they will make space for themselves. So I see it as a larger comment of, we will have our fun, we will have our moments of joy, we will make space for us in this strange world. Yeah.
And then, Shardul, was the erotic scene difficult for you to shoot?
No.
Not at all. Okay, how come? Usually, no? Okay, okay.
No, I think with erotic scenes, I think before that you do a lot of work. If you have a basic respect for the other person's body and your head is in the right place, generally there it is just another scene. And if you notice the scene, I think it's I've done in my very little short career, I've done 2 3 erotic scenes, and this is one of my favorite because Sudipta is giggling. It's so real, it's so
Mhm,
real. And the thing is that the shot has not been cut and been told, okay, no, 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 you can't giggle. It has to have a certain sense. No, but she's giggling. It's very real. It's almost in that moment. I still feel that they, like we used to play as kids, like we would find something under the bed and that would be our spot, like
mhm,
like camping or something like that. So they almost become like kids in that moment. They're giggling, and Birju's character is saying that I feel shy if you laugh
mhm.
like that. So those little things. Yeah.
Okay, so which was the most difficult scene for you to shoot?
Um. All the scenes at the dump yard, they're
Mhm,
physically very taxing.
mhm,
And as you were talking to Suman a little while ago, and he was telling you about actors and non-actors. So it's I think always a little more difficult to be around non-actors who are absolutely comfortable with the camera, and you being the actor trying to calibrate your performance according to what is happening around you. So it's physically and mentally a little, you keep doing all kinds of calculations, and you don't want to look like the person who is trying to lead the group, but you have to be part of the group, but you're actually shooting a scene. But then because it's a dump yard and we're not closing the dump yard, there's a regular rhythm of the dump yard which you have to be part of. All these things. Yeah.
mhm, mhm. And Suman, in general, can you tell me a bit about the cinematography, what you wanted to do in the visual aspect of the film, and also if you could explain a bit how did you shoot this last scene, which for me is the most impressive visually of the film.
So the cinematography actually, Ravi Kiran Ahagiri, who is the DOP of the film, I have known him. I have done another film with him before, so I know him very well as a person. And it is not just about the my camera person, but I think. Um, as I am aging as a filmmaker, I think knowing that person, whether it is your cast or crew, it helps a lot because he can understand my aesthetic and what I want to achieve. And I remember I told Ravi that we should have a very cinema verite look of the film. All, so that it hits hard when people see it, and hence the shot taking and how we frame the shot. So it should be very, and remember he was working with non-professional actors, so forget about camera angles, and you cannot tell them to look this way or that way. So it is your documentary instinct. He has done documentaries before, Ravi. It is your responsibility to capture their uh, you know emotions or their actions or their behavior. So and I particularly remember a movie called Oleg. Have you seen it? It's a Eastern European film, I think a Czech film. And after I saw Oleg, or even Nomadland, the way it was
Mm,
shot, those were two films which were reference points for us. Nomadland, which was when we were preparing, Nomadland released, and I said that, well, this is the genre of film that I want to achieve here also. So those, Oleg is another masterly film. It was in Cannes, I think, 2 3 years back. Those were the two reference points, and the fact that I wanted it to be very cinema verite. Those were my two, and then we developed on the scenes, one by one. Yeah.
mhm. And the last scene, how did you shoot that?
Oh, sorry. The last scene was it. You know, I think the most difficult part of the last scene was going there because the smell is so toxic, and the waste burns out of the toxicity. So being there when we first went for recce, location recce, we just couldn't stand the smell and odor we are not used to. But interestingly, after few visits, we got acclimatized to the smell also. So that was one. And we had nothing to do. This is what really happened. So we had to, frame and capture the reality. It was not staged at all. It was, that car, that no, I shouldn't call it a car, that truck like thing with the waste. It's called JVC in India. The company's name is JVC. And people rush even to take the last remnants of whatever garbage is there, which the car or the crane, it drops it from the top of the mountain. So while we were location wrecking, I had seen those images, and then I just told Ravi that to capture that. And because, yeah, so we didn't have to do anything. We just, it was there. It happens every day. Just that we decided to frame it. That's it. So there was no other preparation as such.
No, you use the drone or not?
That's right.
Yeah.
We used a drone. Yeah.
Okay. And tell me, this is a question for both actually. What is your opinion of the Hindi movie industry at the moment? Shardul, maybe you can answer first. How is it for actors, let's say?
How the movie industry is?
Yes, for actors, let's say.
I would say that when I talk to my seniors, my peers, I think I'm in one of the most interesting times that Indian cinema has seen. I mean, like doing a film like Scavenger of Dreams, or another film that I did, Ibaleu. Doing these films, people tell me, I don't have a reference point. Doing these films the way we do it wouldn't have been maybe possible 15, 20 years ago. So I think I'm in an interesting time. Now, I am of the opinion that, the little that I read, I understand that it was never easy to make cinema, at least the cinema that you want to make. So it's like that. See, when you go and get a Coca-Cola bottle, you want that same taste every time you buy that bottle, right? So, and then you have a craft kombucha or something like that, or craft coffee, but that's lesser in number. The audience for that craft kombucha will always remain lesser. So these are two strands which exist in Indian cinema also. But I have to say that the kind of resurgence that Indian cinema is seeing, and films like I'm taking The Horse to Eat Jalebi, or A Night of Not Knowing, or All That Breathes, or for that matter, Gurvinder Singh's films. And I can just go on. I mean, I'm so happy that I'm taking these names, and these are from very different parts of my country. So it's not just Hindi cinema. Suman sitting here. I mean, so I think we're in a good time. I think.
And financially, is it easy making a living as an actor in Hindi cinema? What do you say?
I mean, it depends on your wants, but it's not easy. It's not easy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I understand. And Suman, what is your opinion?
About it. First of all, I'm glad that you mentioned Hindi cinema and not Bollywood or whatever. So I am not very optimistic as Shardul. So let me explain why. We always differ in our views of cinema, and otherwise also here also I differ. In the sense that uh, the movies that he mentioned also, of course, these are fantastic. And directors like Chaitanya Tamane, who made The Disciple and Court, and Aditya Vikram Sengupta, who made so there are many other filmmakers, and talking to them, I always name at least 2-3 films which have been in the competition section in major film festivals. I don't think so. You will find many in Cannes, Berlin, Venice, or whatever. Now, why I mention it is because I have talked to my colleagues in who are directors in these types of films. Their point is that the world doesn't care about Indian cinema anymore. They will take names like Anurag Kashyap, who made Gangs of Wasipur, and they say, but new directors whose films are focusing on or films are in competition section in big festivals and all. Now this has repercussions in the sense Subsequently, there is no real market for these films. Market in terms of pure business. If say you are investing 5 crores in a film in Indian rupees, 5 crores, which is not a very big amount for a film, comparing it to big budget, Hindi films, it is extremely difficult to recover that money. Because I'm a producer also of these types of films, and I will continue to do so. It is a battle which I don't know, it has to be addressed. That's why you will see a lot of one-off filmmakers who make a fantastic film, and then you won't find because their film didn't reap any benefit. So even OTT platforms, Netflix, Amazon, or whoever it is, they are looking for stars, and they are increasingly not focusing on independent cinema. So that is a huge problem. I think it should be addressed. Whether it is the quality of Indian cinema, which is not getting into the competition section of top tier film festival, I don't know. There has been exceptions, of course. You mentioned All That Breathes or one or two, but there are 1,000 films being made, and we talk about All That Breathes, or say The Disciple, which was in Venice. But in general, I'm not. I think it should be addressed again. I wouldn't say I am pessimist about that, but it should be addressed. To push the selectors or the programmers who represent Indian cinema, to push it into why will it be in the Horizonte in Venice? Why not in competition? Is it lacking in quality? So these questions are never addressed, I think. So this is my viewpoint. Sorry, I'm a bit more pessimistic, but yeah, we shouldn't leave hope. Yeah.
Okay. But are there plans for the film to open in India, or has it already opened? Or
Our film,
yes.
So it is being screened in Mami, which is the Mumbai Film Festival, this October end. And then I've submitted to other film festivals abroad and in India. So let's see. So the journey has just begun, I would say. Yeah.
But usually you find distribution from your films in cinemas, not festivals. I mean,
sorry.
Do you usually find distribution for your films in Indian cinemas, let's say, not in festivals?
No, so you see, I do two kinds of films. One, films are with very big, in Bengali, very big budget films with the biggest star cast and what. So of course, those I don't produce also. They are big producers and distributors. It's a separate ball game there. It's a much smoother ride. Of course, there are other problems in those, to manage your star cast, and other things are there. But all of these, I don't have to worry. But these types of films, which I frequently do, I've done 2-3 films. I have been lucky so far. For example, a past film which I did called P7, which was a bizarre structure-wise and content-wise also. Netflix picked it up after a very successful festival run. I'm just hoping that for Scavenger of Dreams also something like that will happen. But at the moment, we are considering having representation in film festivals, showing it to people, and we have to push it, because you see, I'm very aware, even when I started making this film, that a film on waste collectors will not be very palatable market wise, but that wouldn't stop us if we are really concerned about the issue of stopping us from making the film. So here we have made it, and we are hoping for the best. Yeah.
And regarding your future projects, what are you working on next, Shardul?
Me? Oh, so Shardul, yeah.
Yes.
As I was telling you before we started the interview, I'm working on a dream project of mine, which is a theater project, which I've had this play for 2.5 years with me, and I'm opening that play in Serendipity Arts Festival in Goa. And I've been working mostly on short films this year because I didn't have the time due to the play, which I'm also producing and acting in, to actually do long form. So I'm working on that.
And so in the future, if Suman asked you to work with him again, would you do it?
He better.
Of course. Of course I would. Of course I would. Just on Suman's earlier point, just one thing, I am very optimistic, but I also feel that making the kind of cinema that we make, the very act of making it is resistance.
Sure. And this has happened throughout history. You know, if you think about Indian filmmakers, also say Manikal or Mrinal Sen, they have always made offbeat films. And I have talked to them, and even Manikal, I had a discussion with him. You know, it is not easy to find financing and struggling. It is, each film is a struggle, but they have continued making films after 40 years, 50 years, you know, past those films. We are talking about Manikal's films, Kumar Shahani's films, Mrinal Sen's films. This has been the trend of history. So we have to accept that and carry on our struggles here.
And your future projects, what are you working on next, Suman?
So I just completed shooting, and it's in post-production of a film called Kabuliwala, which has Mithun Chakravarti, one, you know, big mega star. He was in India, now even in Bengal. Which is releasing on Christmas, which is one of the big budget films, which I said, you know. And also I am making a documentary on Aparna Sen, which I just finished, and it's supposed to world premiere at a very, you know, renowned film festival early next year. So I have just completed that, and yeah, so these are the two projects I'm looking forward to. Yeah.
Okay, great. I think that's it. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Panos. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for doing this.
Thank you for your time. Good luck with your plans moving forward, and I hope to see you in person in a festival at some point.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Have a nice evening.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.